I'm Karen, 27 years old. My husband Steven is the same age and we got married last year. We both work full-time. I'm a nurse and Steven is in pharmaceutical sales. We first met at a happy hour event organized by a coworker. I've always enjoyed a good drink, and that evening the after-work cocktails tasted especially good. Although we had crossed paths before, that night was the first time we really talked. Our shared love for good drinks brought us together, and we hit it off instantly. Every time we met, it was easy, fun, and comfortable, so it didn't take long for us to start dating. On my birthday, Steven confessed his feelings, and we officially became a couple. Our favorite dates involved discovering hidden gems that served great drinks. While I love wine, Steven is into steak. Our different tastes made our dates even more enjoyable as we got to introduce each other to new things. As our relationship progressed, I started thinking about marriage, and that's when I learned more about Steven's background. His parents divorced when he was young, and he never knew his father. Raised by a single mom, Steven is very close to her and had never moved out of his family home. I wondered if this was a flaw or if it simply showed how much he valued family. At the time, blinded by love, I saw it as a positive trait. Steven was kind, incredibly handsome, and seemed perfect in every way. I felt so lucky to marry such a wonderful man that it almost scared me. Little did I know, a terrifying married life awaited me. Before the wedding, I often dined with my mother-in-law. She would always tell Steven, "Karen is like a daughter to me, don't let her get away, marry her soon." I told Steven how happy this made me and how much I looked forward to becoming part of their family. Steven, who is great with people, also had a stellar reputation with my parents, so everything went smoothly and we got married. Since neither of us liked being the center of attention, we didn't have a big wedding. After the wedding, Steven moved out of his family home for the first time. However, out of concern for his mom, we chose an apartment just a 10-minute walk from our place. In hindsight, that was a mistake, but it's too late to change that now. My mother-in-law, who once treated me like a daughter, changed after the wedding. She started treating me like a mortal enemy and began visiting us daily. I gently told Steven, "I appreciate that your mom visits every day, but it's hard for me to relax. Could you ask her to come less often on work days?" Steven responded, "Why? We're family now. Mom gets lonely, she loves to talk and hates being alone. I wish she'd be more understanding. This is my home too, and I can't tell her something I don't believe. If you have something to say it yourself, I won't." Steven refused to see my point of view, and I was surprised by his unexpected response. From that day on, Steven would get moody whenever I mentioned anything about his mother, so I started holding back to avoid arguments. My mother-in-law took advantage of this. Before I knew it, Steven had given her a spare key. One day, I came home to find her cooking in our kitchen without asking. Shocked to see her in my space, I couldn't help but ask sharply, "What are you doing here?" without asking. She shot back, "What's going on with your fridge? It's practically empty. I've never seen such a lifeless fridge. Do you even cook? Don't tell me you're always buying deli items." I couldn't hold back any longer. "I shop for fresh ingredients daily. I heard your fridge is always packed like a traffic jam. It's impressive you manage that. I just bought ingredients today. Sure, we have deli days, but I also cook to save money. And by the way, deli food these days is pretty good. Don't you ever try it?" But my mother-in-law wasn't backing down. "I'd rather not have Steven eat food when we don't even know who made it. This is what happens when he marries an incompetent wife. I should have taught him to be more discerning about women." Sparks were flying between us. Once I started airing my grievances, I couldn't stop. "Do you see the shopping bag, mother-in-law? There's not a single deli item in it. I'm busy, so could you please not get in my way? You're not even a guest anymore since you let yourself in." Mother-in-law stormed out, her face red with anger. "I'll tell Steven about this," she snapped. I had more to say, but she left before I could continue. I knew I was in the right, and even though it made me uncomfortable, I wasn't wrong. I shook off the bad vibes and started cooking pot roast. Then Steven came home, his face a splitting image of his angry mom. "What did you say to Mom?" She called me crying. "How could you be so cruel when she was just trying to help because you're busy?" I was baffled. First off, breaking into someone's home isn't a surprise. If it is, then burglars should be forgiven if they call it a surprise, right? This happened because you gave her a spare key. She could have come when one of us was home. It's not only unnecessary but also intrusive. What about my privacy? I have no intention of apologizing. Stephen looked shocked and uttered just one word, please, can you two just get along? He then retreated to his room without eating dinner. I hoped this fight would make him more considerate. For the next few days, we barely spoke. I couldn't stand the tension, so I finally brought it up. What do you want to do going forward? I don't want a relationship where we don't communicate. Let's talk. Stephen finally opened up. Mom's remorseful. She was crying yesterday, worried you would never forgive her. The root cause was me giving her the spare key. I'm sorry, Karen. I didn't care about mother-in-law as long as Stephen understood. That was enough for me. My weakness showed, and I forgave him, even though I knew in the back of my mind that my fault was forgiving too easily. Stephen immediately called mother-in-law, and she came running, happy to be summoned. I had a bad feeling, but I was tired of fighting. If she would change her ways, then fine. As soon as mother-in-law saw my face, it was as if a switch had been flipped. Oh, I'm so relieved. I thought Karen would never speak to me again. I know I overstepped, and I promise never to do it again, she said, her voice as sweet as if she were talking to a cat. But for some reason, I still had a bad feeling. She then pulled out a mysterious bag from her purse. I met an old friend from college yesterday. She's unbelievably youthful and beautiful. She gave me some Chinese tea. That's her beauty secret. I thought I'd share some with you, not that you need it, she said. I had a bad feeling but felt awkward refusing. Stephen whispered, just have 1 cup of tea with her. I'll make sure she leaves as soon as possible. Wanting her gone, I reluctantly agreed to drink the tea. I've always enjoyed Chinese tea, and it's popular at my workplace too. Mother-in-law quickly poured hot water into the tea pack. This tea is supposed to be good for your skin and boost female hormones. You guys are thinking about having kids soon, right? If you like it, I'll tell my friend to get some for you, she said, placing the cup in front of me. The aroma was a bit unusual, but I took a sip anyway. It tasted strange, but I dismissed it, thinking it was just a new flavor. However, my bad feeling proved true. I woke up in the middle of the night with severe stomach pain, feeling half faint. By the time I felt better, it was already morning. There was no doubt about it. The only thing I had consumed that Stephen hadn't was the suspicious Chinese tea. I told Stephen about it. But he didn't take me seriously. Karen, that's a terrible accusation. Mom brought the tea to make amends, and you're making it sound like she poisoned you. Don't you feel ashamed? It's probably just an upset stomach. Mom would never do something like that. Stephen couldn't believe I was being malicious, and without evidence, I couldn't press the issue further. Still, I've been wary of anything from my mother-in-law since then. Just before Stephen's birthday, my mother-in-law called me. Karen, I'm cooking for Stephen's birthday. You can come or not. It's up to you. You're busy, right? Maybe you should take some time to refresh yourself. She was planning to celebrate Stephen's birthday without me. Since that day, I've been scared to eat anything from her, and homemade food was out of the question. But I was planning to spend Stephen's birthday together, so I felt upset. I thought we'd spend his birthday together since we're newlyweds. I assume you've celebrated with him every year until now, so from now on, it's my turn. Before I could finish, she cut me off. Anyway, I want Stephen to come home. You don't have to come, Karen. We can celebrate your birthday next month, okay? I decided to leave the decision to Stephen. That night, he said, "Did you hear? You're free to do whatever you want that day." He chose his mother over me without hesitation, and I was getting fed up. On Stephen's birthday, he was in high spirits, and it made me feel sick. My feelings for him started to wane as he seemed to enjoy celebrating with just his mom, becoming more of a mama's boy. They started dining out together more frequently. I was busy with work and couldn't focus on this all the time, and a month flew by. When it was my birthday, I assumed we'd celebrate at our favorite restaurant as usual, but Stephen surprised me. Mom wants to celebrate your birthday with us. She'd be happiest if you two got along. I was so shocked I froze. Stephen, still in high spirits, didn't notice. I said, "I wanted to celebrate just with you, Stephen. We weren't together on your birthday, so let's spend mine together." For some reason, Stephen thought I was being polite. No. You don't have to hold back. Mom offered, so it's fine. He just didn't get it. I had no choice but to be firm. "Stephen, no offense to your mom, but I want to spend my birthday just with you. I want to go to our special restaurant." Then Stephen suddenly got angry. "Don't waste Mom's kindness. You're heartless. Why haven't you noticed that Mom didn't invite you to my birthday? Just do as I say, it's already a hassle. I was done arguing. When my birthday finally came, instead of being at a restaurant, we were at home. And of course, my mother-in-law was there. Neither of them seemed interested in my low spirits. I started to get angry as I watched them enjoying themselves in the kitchen. Then the lights went out, and the cake came in. I was still angry, but the cake helped me cool down a bit. Before I could blow out the candles, my mother-in-law announced she had a gift. I bought a wine worth $5,000 for your birthday celebration. Let me uncork it right away. The packaging looked worn and the cork was crumbling. Is this what they call vintage? I wondered. Mother-in-law poured a generous amount of wine into my glass. Even in the dim light, I could see the wine was cloudy. Memories of the Chinese tea incident came flooding back. I took a small sip. What is this? I spat it out immediately and turned on the lights. I turned the bottle of my mother-in-law's so-called $5,000 wine upside down in the kitchen sink, and wine flowed down the drain. Stephen quickly grabbed the bottle from me. You're terrible. Apologize to Mom. What do you think you're doing? His face was filled with anger as he glared at me. I poured wine into the glass Stephen was holding. Can you drink this then? Stephen looked puzzled but stubbornly took a sip. At that moment, my mother-in-law shouted, Stephen, don't drink it. But it was too late. He spat it out immediately. What the heck is this? My mother-in-law took the wine away from Stephen, looking guilty. Mom, where did you buy this wine? We need to file a complaint. This is fraud. It's spoiled. Stephen said, shocked. My mother-in-law looked embarrassed. That wine was just sitting in the back of our kitchen. It's 50 years old. I heard on TV that it gains $1,000 in value every year. Vintage wines are supposed to be properly stored in wine coolers. Upon closer inspection, the cork was more damaged than I thought, and the wine was cloudy and smelled like mold. Even Stephen couldn't hide his surprise. What bothered me most was that my mother-in-law knew it was bad and still tried to serve it. I suspect she knew the wine was spoiled, but she would never admit it. I couldn't forgive my mother-in-law for this. Can you please leave? I can't keep my composure. Just get out of my sight, I demanded. Even as I said this, my mother-in-law kept making excuses to Stephen, as if I were invisible. Despite her clear discomfort, she made a hasty exit. After she left, Stephen said something unexpected. Mom doesn't drink, so she wouldn't know. Good thing we didn't give it to anyone else. Even after all this, Stephen defended his mother, treating it like an innocent mistake. At that moment, my feelings for him cooled completely. My resolve solidified against a man who would defend his mother despite what she had done to me. I had been turning a blind eye to his excessive attachment to her, but now I wanted a divorce. I presented Stephen with the divorce papers I had kept just in case. He was speechless. When he asked why, I said, ask yourself. Do you know how much I have put up with? I've reached my limit. Instead of questioning me further, he deeply apologized, saying, I won't do it again. You're the one for me. Then, as if a floodgate had opened, he started confessing to multiple affairs. I had suspected infidelity, but I was shocked to hear about 4 different women. With that, I had no more doubts. I was determined to divorce him. There was no need for a private investigator. The evidence of his affairs was plentiful. During our discussion, he suddenly blurted out, You'll regret divorcing a cool guy like me. Stephen's arrogance disgusted me, and I felt foolish for ever loving such a man. Multiple affairs and being a mama's boy were more than enough reasons for divorce. To avoid complications, I decided to hire a lawyer, even if it would be expensive. Stephen initially resisted the divorce but eventually gave in, perhaps realizing the extent of his mistakes. He went back to his beloved mom. Later it was revealed that his affair was with a coworker, and he was demoted as a result. Unable to be away from his mother, Stephen quit his job. He's apparently job hunting, but rumors spread fast, and he can't find a job in the same field because his workplace affair became public. Still unable to separate from his mother, he ended up working part-time. Given his arrogant and unreliable nature, it's unlikely he will keep the job for long. I need him to work steadily to pay me alimony. For now, the payments are coming in without issue, so I'll take that as a small victory. I later found out that my mother-in-law, who had acted so high and mighty, was a hoarder. Stephen's family home was literally a trash heap. No wonder they never wanted me over. Eventually, the stench became a nuisance to the neighbors, and the police had to intervene. The thought of drinking wine from that house still makes me sick. Stephen can live in his trash-filled home and work his random part-time jobs with his beloved mother for all I care. I may have returned to my old life, but I'm happier now, free from the daily torment. Stephen won't be coming to my workplace anymore, and that's a relief. In hindsight, Stephen had good looks but nothing else. The fact that he's making the alimony payments is a plus, I guess. Breaking up made me realize that love is indeed blind. I've learned my lesson. This time, I'm putting romance on hold for a while. I want to focus on my career and on myself.